Why does showing emotion make us feel weak? Why has being nonchalant become the ultimate goal? As a 20-year-old in this modern generation, a huge trend that I have seen coming to light is nonchalance. And I know that it's kind of like a joke and it's kind of funny and everything, but I've seen real examples of people really abandoning feelings, abandoning being who they really are because they're afraid of being cringe or being viewed as doing too much and other phrases like that. Everyone from the ages of maybe even 12 to around their mid to late 20s cares so much about not being viewed as cringy or chalant. And while I have seen a little bit of rebuttal from other people, like some people will say bring yearning back or bring chalance back, I still feel that the general acceptable behavior is to be nonchalant, to stuff everything that you feel deep down inside. Don't text him back too fast or else he might suspect that you have feelings for him, and we don't want him to think that. Sprinkle, sprinkle, all things like that are really, I feel, letting our souls rot inside of us. And I feel like I'm not seeing enough people speak about this, and I want to put an end to this nonchalance epidemic right now, and that's what this video today is about. The desire to seem cool isn't necessarily a new topic. We've seen this from like the dawn of time. To fit in, to be socially accepted is an incredibly common point in humanity. To groupthink, to be liked, to be seen as socially acceptable. This is not new. However, in this modern generation, in assistance with social media and dating apps and social expectations and societal expectations and way more stress, and a lot of people who are struggling with various mental illnesses are becoming emotionally suppressed, and they don't even know who they are or what they want in their lives. And I think that as a people, we need to step back and realize what being cool and what being nonchalant to get someone's favor or to be socially acceptable is doing to us as a species, as a people, as a person. To be nonchalant and to be so worried about what other people think about us is the number one way to really forget who you are. You're not exploring who you are or your interests, because maybe even your interests are viewed as cringy. And so our interests become scrolling TikTok and scrolling Instagram instead of pursuing things that we might actually have a passion for. For example, maybe someone who really enjoys K-pop or wants to do like K-pop performances, or maybe even wants to start a K-pop band, may not, because that's really perceived as cringy, even though it shouldn't be. Even though something that you love, your opinion should matter about that, and only yours. And I feel that all of us are kind of always looking over our shoulder, worried that in public, if we do something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, we might be recorded and put on somebody's Snapchat story or put on someone's TikTok and made fun of because we were doing something and being ourselves. I think that really ties in with things like main character syndrome. People who actually do have the gall to go out there and be who they really are and do something that's a little bit out of the norm in public. Like the tube girl was a trend a few years back where she would go and record herself on public transport dancing and doing her thing and, you know, doing whatever she pleased. People were incredibly harsh and critical of her. And I think that attaching main character syndrome to people who are kind of just doing their own thing without hurting others is really harmful. And I think that it scares people and hides people away and like turns people off from being who they truly are and exploring those things. And it all comes back to the fact that social media is poison. And I think the nonchalance epidemic has risen from social media. I know I deleted Snapchat like about 6 months ago, and I can say that Snapchat is, I think, a prime example of being nonchalant, of like having nonchalant behavior is the way to succeed in the social societal eye on Snapchat. Leave people undelivered for a really long time. Don't open their snaps, or sometimes leave them unopened so you seem like you don't care. Leave people undelivered but open other people's snaps so that it looks like you're responding to people but just not them. Watch that snap score go up until it drives you insane because the person that you are interested in is not snapping you back. We just feel so entitled to people's time, and yet we're driving ourselves crazy because we do care, but we never outwardly express it for fear of being cringe or looking like we care. We're so afraid to act like we care about things when that is literally the whole point of being human. Art is human expression, and instead of expressing those feelings and communicating with people when we are interested in them, we hold them in until they show up in our lives in a much darker, more frightening, disturbing way, such as alcohol abuse, drug abuse, promiscuity, not being committed to things in our lives because we are so focused on other things. Like sometimes people's academics will kind of go out the window because they're so focused on whether or not this person likes them. Or say hello to Sabrina. This is my cat, Sabrina, so she might pop in a few times. So just so you know, that's who that is. I think we're becoming so concerned with being relaxed and acting like we don't care that our souls are rotting inside of us. And while other people don't know that we're feeling all these things, we know that. And it's actually making us so stressed out and feeling as though we're going insane. And I want this to stop. I hate the nonchalant epidemic. I hate everyone acting like they're cooler than everyone else. I hate the little whispers in public of people making fun of others. I hate the dynamics in college and high school. People are even afraid to not be on their phone in an elevator, and that is so strange to me. In like places where people used to have conversations while walking down the hallway, everyone's just glued to their phone because they're so afraid of being judged, and so they have to act like they don't care and they don't want to be there, and it's really harmful. So let's talk about my first talking point, which is how nonchalance affects relationships. Specifically, let's start with friendships. People tend to avoid deep conversations or vulnerability because they want to seem cool. A lot of times what you'll hear is something like, it's not that deep, or it's not that serious, or you're doing too much, when you want to talk about something that's deep and meaningful to you. And instead, you're left with these feelings inside of you, which scientifically proven that emotional suppression can make you actually more aggravated, angry, more irritable, more stressed out, and all your emotions will affect every other part of your life. If you're feeling emotional upset about one thing and you're not communicating properly and taking care of that one thing, that's gonna start to show up in your romantic relationships. That will show up in your family dynamics. That will show up in how you treat your space at home. That will show up in how you take care of yourself. So I think to pretend as though our emotions can be suppressed and will not affect anything else around us is absurd. Your emotions are not necessarily who you are as a person. Your character is who you are, but your emotions are a really large part of who you are. And I don't feel that everyone is taking the proper care and attention to them that they should be, even in a generation and a time where therapy and resources like therapy, instead we are kind of neglecting those and looking more towards that darkness of, oh, if I don't talk about it, it's not real kind of thing. Friendships now, and something I really noticed when I was in high school, is that friendships are really surface level. They lack real emotional connection. Friendship is built on loyalty, trust, vulnerability, and growth. And we cannot achieve those things if we don't talk about those hard things because we're afraid of looking like we care. If we stuff all the emotions down by drinking till the end of a bottle, you're never gonna build those friendships. I can tell you some of the most beautiful moments I've had with my closest friends were born out of moments of trusting them and revealing some of my most vulnerable insecurities to them and their thoughts on that and their communication. And when they see me acting out of sorts and not doing so well, them coming to me and saying that and communicating with me is moments where I knew that they really cared about me for who I truly was. And I feel like I don't see that anymore. I hear all the time about people who hang out with people that they actually cannot stand or they really don't like because that person is in good social standing, or because if I don't talk to them, then I won't have a friend group. And if I don't have a friend group, then I'm a loser. I know that it can kind of feel like social suicide in those situations to step away from people that aren't good for you, but I promise you, you will be so much happier in the long term by stepping away from relationships or friendships that make you feel as though you can't be your true self. To stay in a friendship in which you feel like you are not supported and you are not seen for who you truly are is just going to literally rot your soul and your personality inside you. so that years from now you look inward and you finally realize, I don't know who I am because I never took the time to stop and explore who I am outside of people's expectations. Simply put, being nonchalant is boring. Acting like you don't care about anything is boring. Acting like the problems of this world or the passions of this world don't elicit any kind of feeling from you is boring. I've never had a good conversation with someone who was so concerned with being nonchalant. I've had good conversations with passionate people that I disagree with. I've had great conversations with people that I do agree with that may not be as passionate. However, nonchalance is really just sad. And I love to get to know people for who they truly are. But if you are putting up this wall of nonchalance, I will never find that out. And I know that that's part of the fear, because rejection is a big part of it. If they know who I truly am and then they don't want to be friends with me, what does that say about who I am as a person? I know that that's a common issue. I know rejection is hard, but don't you think if they didn't want to be friends with you for who you truly are, that might be a sign that you shouldn't be friends with them? I feel like we're missing that part, and I know it feels a lot harder to be independent and be who you truly are rather than just give into what everyone expects you to be and just follow the group. When it comes to the long-term benefits, it's worthwhile. I'm telling you from personal experience, from someone who avoided doing what everyone else was doing and being part of the popular group and being nonchalant from middle school to high school, even now in college. It's worth it. It's a lonely path sometimes, but it's worth it because you will build a relationship with yourself, and there is no more important relationship than the one that you have with yourself. Think about it this way. Your whole life, you only have yourself. Family members will pass away. Friendships might end. Relationships will fall apart and you'll split up. The only person you truly have for your entire life is you. Your mind is where you spend almost all of your time, so make it a nice place to live. That's a quote that I hear a lot, and I really appreciate that quote's perspective. So screw them if they don't support who you truly are, because there are people out there who will support you for who you truly are. And I'm telling you from experience that waiting for those friendships is absolutely worth it. So now let's talk about nonchalance in romantic relationships. After breakups, I feel like, especially nowadays on TikTok and Instagram and Snap, there's a lot of pressure to act kind of unbothered and like you don't care and like you were always expecting this, and to move on quickly as though showing pain is a weakness, even though it's not. Showing pain is so unbelievably human and normal, and you don't need to post a thirst trap so your ex's friends will see what you look like after the breakup so you can act like you don't care. Acting like you care after being broken up with or breaking up with someone is okay. And I'm not really sure where this notion came from that it's not okay to be upset about being hurt. I know vulnerability is scary, but you don't have to post about your breakup, good or bad. You don't have to post that you're relieved that it happened, and you don't have to post that you're upset that it happened. You can let these matters be a private thing. And that's not giving into the nonchalance by not posting about it. That's just appreciating your own privacy, respecting you and your ex's partner's privacy by not posting about it. Sure, you're allowed to talk to family members, loved ones, and friends about a breakup or a traumatic thing you've been through, but we don't need to post it everywhere and act like we never cared about the person at all. That's just not healthy. I don't know how to say it any other way than it's not healthy. And remember, the habits that you're building with how you deal with your relationships in your life are habits and coping mechanisms that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Right now, especially in your teens and early 20s, you are building the habits that you will know for the rest of your life. So think more critically about those habits, because these are things that you are going to be using to cope with things in your relationships for the rest of your life. So ask yourself, is this really how I want to deal with things for the rest of my life? And I feel like people really think that acting nonchalant will make you stop caring. No, pretending that you don't care will not make you feel like you don't care. You are still hurting. Stop pretending that you're not. Stop pretending that the breakup didn't absolutely shatter you. You are allowed to be upset. Rushing or dismissing those feelings will only make them show up in a darker, more damaging and destructive way. You are allowed to be hurt, but also understand you do not have to be stuck there forever. And I feel like people think that if they start to feel their feelings and really understand themselves and what has hurt them in their lives, they fear that they will be stuck there forever. And that is not true. And I can come to you from experience and telling you that it's not forever. But the sooner that you open up and accept it, the sooner that you can move on and grow and become even more of a beautiful person after that experience. Pushing it off is kind of like constantly running from it, but that monster is always there. And then all of a sudden when you stop running and you face that monster, you realize that it's not as scary as you originally thought. Talking to it and opening up to it, that monster becomes less and less dark and scary, and you realize that it's just a hurt child inside who is upset for being taken advantage of or being hurt. But the more you run away from it, the bigger and the scarier it gets. But the sooner that you slow down and you open up and you really talk to yourself truly, you realize that it's okay. And it's going to be okay. And it was okay before. It may not be okay right now, but it will be okay. But we cannot get to that point unless you admit that being nonchalant is not going to help you. Sure, I can see the positive of nonchalance, whereas not caring about things that don't matter, but I don't feel that that's what's happening. I feel that people think that being nonchalant means to not care about anything ever. And to do that is to deny your humanity, is to deny being a human being. The beauty about human beings is our passion, our love, our endless thirst to be better, our interests, our developments in society, our connection to other species, our connection to each other, ourselves. I've never once looked at someone who is nonchalant about everything and said, wow, I aspire to be that person. What I have looked at is characters that are undeniably, unapologetically themselves, aware and open-minded and passionate and bawl their eyes out and aren't afraid to tell people what they think. That's who I look up to, and I know you've probably looked up to people like that too. And I feel that the only time that people pursue mindsets such as nonchalance is when they're hurting, when their heart is bleeding, when they feel like if they don't care, they can prevent someone from hurting them. And I promise you, closing off your heart will not prevent you from getting hurt ever again. Closing off your heart will prevent you from ever loving again, from ever feeling good again, from ever feeling the beauty of friendship and family ever again. Closing off your heart will close you off to the beauty of this world, not the darkness, because the darkness is inevitable, unfortunately sometimes, whereas the beauty isn't. The beauty is only seen through you. Only you can pick out that beauty. Only you can work to see the beauty in everything. Even with family, nonchalance in family relationships, being emotionally distant can become a habit. Teens and young adults, we kind of struggle to express love, gratitude, or even seek help when we need it because of the idea of being nonchalant. We fear that our family won't understand, and in some abusive dynamics that is true. Some family members won't understand, but how will we ever know if we don't try? I would rather be rejected and, disappointed by something instead of not ever trying at all, because there is that chance that they will understand and you will get more resources than you ever thought possible, and your trajectory of getting better and growing will be shot forward 1,000,000 miles just because you took the time to reach out and really try to have someone understand. So while I can't speak for everyone's family dynamic, I am encouraging you, please try to reach out for help if you can, if you feel safe to do so. And if not, I'm sure that there is at least one person in your life that can help you get through a time like this. And if not, then we need to work on improving our relationship with ourselves so that we can help ourselves improve and get through something that might be incredibly difficult for us. So when it comes to exploring interests and passions, the fear of judgment is what's holding you back from joining the chess club or the math club or the anime club or whatever it is that you may be interested in. Maybe even a sport. Maybe you're afraid that because you're not a freaking Olympic medalist in this sport that you're interested in, that you shouldn't try at all. When that's not the case, everyone who has ever become incredible at something had to be a beginner. All of your favorite athletes that you look up to at one point did not know how to hold a ball correctly, how to kick the ball correctly, how to serve a ball correctly, whatever sport it is, they had to start somewhere. And hey, you don't have to go pro or get paid for something to enjoy it. You can do something because you have an interest in it. American culture specifically has a really bad habit of making everyone feel as though we need to make money out of something in order to do it, or else we're wasting our time. And that is not the case. The casual pursuit of interests, I really feel, is one of the biggest keys to happiness. Do something because you love it. I paint sometimes, not because I'm really good at it, but because I enjoy creating illustrations, because I'm a creative person, not because I feel like I'll get money for it. People hold back from pursuing hobbies and interests because they worry about being perceived as cringe, specifically. But I'm telling you now, to be cringe is to be free. Because the moment that you release other people's opinions about your interests or about you as a person because of your interests, my God, it's like all of that fear and worry and anxiety just disappears from you. Truly, because you realize how little other people's opinions matter. People's opinions will only affect you as much as you allow them. So being perceived as cringe, so what? If that person perceives you as cringe, are they really someone that you want to keep in your life? Are they really someone that aligns with your values as a person? This kind of thinking can kind of stunt creativity, personal growth, and individuality. I've noticed this a lot in the makeup world, or kind of like appearance world. Everyone kind of wants to look the same. And I've noticed a lot of people my age noticing that and putting that down and saying that that's not what we want. Individuality is probably the most beautiful thing in the world, in my opinion, because you have the gall to go out there and be who you truly are unapologetically. Wow. How inspiring is that someone can, let's say, go into a bookstore with flaming red hair and the most absurd, ridiculous outfit you could ever think of and just not care because that outfit makes them happy. What's more beautiful than that? If all of us are the same, then no unique ideas and businesses or passions or art at full expression will come to life if we all act the same. So why shouldn't we try to be different? Why shouldn't we encourage individuality? Because that's what makes the world colorful and beautiful and exciting. Social media pressure is also a really big issue. So on platforms, specifically TikTok and Instagram, people post only what looks perfect, cool, trendy. Anything outside of that usual cool aesthetic is often ridiculed, making people hesitant to share what truly excites them. There is not a camera on you 24/7, okay? You do not need to act as though there is. People's social media, I feel people forget, especially with Instagram, there is literally a feature called highlights. People are literally only showing you what they want you to see. Why are you acting as though it's the full picture? Similar to like a sports game. The person who posts might actually sit down and watch the entire 2-hour sports match. You know, all the ads and everything in between and all the timeouts, whereas they might go later and post only those highlights, only the best parts of those games. So you don't know what happened for the rest of the game. You're only seeing the parts that they want you to see. Social media is fake. All of it is fake. And I feel like the sooner we understand that, the sooner we will release this idea of being nonchalant. Because social media is a performance for social credits. It's not who you truly are. I can't tell you the amount of photos I've posted in my experience, like really cute selfies or pictures with my friends, and then like cried like 5 minutes after because I was so miserable at that point in my life. But people don't see that, and they don't see that because I don't want them to. So next time you think about you're comparing yourself to someone that you're seeing on social media, even if you know the person in real life, understand how many takes that photo might have taken, or how they might be on vacation, but they might be thousands of dollars in credit card debt. Things are just not what you see on social media, okay? It's really important to me that you know that. It's fake. It's designed to make you jealous. They want you to be upset when you see that. They want you to wish that you had their body when they post that bathing suit picture or that workout picture. That's the point. It's comparison. Don't fall for it. It's a trap. Rejection is going to happen. Regardless, it's going to happen. And I think an effective way to kind of get over that is to do rejection therapy. Do stupid little things that will almost always end in rejection, like I've seen this series of TikToks where this woman walks down the street with her coffee and she says, cheers. And the people will just be like, oh, I don't do that, I don't do that. And they won't clink their cup with hers. And it's just to help her get used to rejection. And it's so interesting because then when you do get rejected, you realize that it wasn't nearly as scary as you thought it might be. You find someone attractive and you go up and you ask for their snap and they say no, then you walk away and you never see that person again, and that's okay. It's gonna be okay. Being rejected is not the end of the world, even though it might feel like it in the moment. And sure, maybe you can laugh about it and call it cringe in the moment, but it will not affect you in the long term. It does not define you as a person. And most of the time, being rejected has something to say about that person standing in life. Maybe they're not ready for something, rather than it being about you. The real cost of nonchalance. We're losing authenticity. People are abandoning who they really are to be cool, be nonchalant. By constantly wearing a mask of indifference, people really lose touch with their real selves until they can't even grasp it inside anymore. How are you supposed to go about your daily life if you don't know who you truly are? How are you supposed to know what you're gonna do with your life and your time? What kind of effect you want to leave on this world if you don't know who you truly are? And you're gonna tell me that looking back on your deathbed, however many years from now, that you're not going to regret being nonchalant? You're not going to regret not going up to that one person or not going on that one vacation because you've never been there before, or not asking for extra help on a test that you could have maybe not failed if you had owned up to the fact that you needed some extra help. You're stunting your emotional growth. You're suppressing your emotions, and that is preventing you from learning how to handle them and express them in healthy ways. Whatever you're building as coping mechanisms right now could either be the beauty or the end of your future marriage or relationships. And that doesn't mean that you can't change. You might think, oh, well, it's too late then based on my age. No, you can change. There are people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s who change their behaviors, change who they are. Wipe the slate clean, start over, small steps, okay? You could lose out on so many friendships, so many relationships that require openness and vulnerability and for you to hold accountability for how you act, but nonchalance keeps everyone at arm's length. You will never know what it's like to fall in love, to be married, to have real best friends, to feel really seen and understood if you keep up that wall of nonchalance. Not only does nonchalance hurt everyone around you and make everyone else miss out on the beauty of you, but it hurts you. So what do? How do we end this nonchalance epidemic? We embrace change. Stop fearing being labeled as cringe. Because to be cringe is to be your true self and to be free. Being cringe to one person just means that you're being real. You're being true to yourself. And there is nothing more valuable than honesty with yourself. So I challenge you, express yourself fully. Pursue that weird hobby. Show that you care about people. Tell them you love them before you hang up the phone, whether they're a friend, a partner, or a family member, even if it's not cool. Respond to that text quickly, because if they don't like that you answer fast, they're probably not your soulmate. Allow yourself to feel and heal after heartbreak. And just remember this, being nonchalant won't protect you from pain. It will only prevent you from living fully. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do not forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. What's your experience with nonchalance? I know that you all definitely have something to say, so I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and please consider hitting that notification bell and coming back next time. Remember, shining your brightest light is to be your truest self. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.